Okay, so now we're going to look at organising and displaying data. We're going to use this set of 10 numbers here for our example, and the first thing we want to do is to organise our data into a frequency distribution table. Now I'll draw one here. I'm going to put in 3 different columns. You may choose to only have 2. Okay, the first one and the last one. Okay, now we'll put X here. There are our scores. I'm going to put tally here just to show you what I'm doing, and this is F, and I'll put the whole word frequency. You can just use the letter F. Okay, now we have scores from 6 to 10, so I need 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, and I'm going to here put in an N for the total. Actually, I'll put an N in there. Okay, now one way of doing it, if you've got a lot of data, this is a good way of doing things, is to cross off the numbers if you can. It's a bit harder on a screen, or if you use a pencil maybe. Okay, so 6, that's 1, 10, 9, 8, 9, 10, 9, 9, 10, and 9. Or I could have done a line through there. Okay, so we have 1 score of 6, 0 scores of 7, 1 score of 8, 5 scores of 9, and 3 scores of 10, and the total there is 10. So that's basically a very basic frequency distribution table with a small amount of data. You'll be mostly having much more data. Okay, now quite often we want to take this data here and display it as a histogram and a frequency polygon. I've just written the word polygon there, but it's a frequency polygon. Okay, now this is the frequency here. This is the X score here. Our scores range from 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Make sure they're evenly distributed. Our frequencies go up to 5, so I'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now a score of 6. We do a nice strong bar here or column. We have the 6 in the middle of the column, okay, and we go up to 1 because there was 1, okay. 7, there's nothing, okay, so I won't draw a bar there. For the score of 8, there was 1 score of 8. 9, there were 5 9s. Now obviously you'd use a rule and do a better job than me. I'm doing this freehand. Okay, score 5, that's very wobbly. And our 3 for 10, we scored, there were 3 scores of 10. Now that is the histogram, okay, more or less. You would put a title on it for depending on where the data come from, etc. Okay, now it says it should be a frequency polygon. I should add that, frequency polygon. And I'll do that in red, okay. Simply, once you've done your histogram, simply put a little mark right in the middle, the top of the column. If there's a 0, if there's a score with no frequency, don't leave it out. Okay, and then just join. So effectively, it's a line graph. Okay. Okay, so you'll be quite often asked to take this sort of data here and turn it into a histogram and frequency polygon. Okay, now the shape, depending on what you did last year, you can discuss things like skewing and symmetry. Now this might not be in the particular book or in the answers, but this is what I want you to work with, and you'll show me. A graph or a histogram is symmetrical if it's just about the same either side, like your face, a line up the middle of your face, okay, so that's close to being symmetrical there. It doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical, okay. You'd say that's symmetrical. This one here, if there's a tail pointing to the negative direction, that's that way, negative, then we say that that's negatively skewed. And we'll be going over this a lot more later. I've run out of room here a bit, but I'll just go down here. If, on the other hand, there's some higher scores in the low area, and then they tail off, and so that's pointing in this direction, in the positive direction, then we say this is positively skewed. So most histograms, not all, most histograms can be either categorised as being symmetrical or almost symmetrical, or negatively skewed or positively skewed. Most will fit into one of those three categories. Sometimes they don't, sometimes there's no pattern at all. Okay, so the one above, but coming back here, if I was going to fit it into one of these, I would say that it's negatively skewed. Okay. Now, as far as a comment goes, that's fairly open to interpretation. It's also one of the obvious things to look for is what is the highest score. Okay, so one of my comments would be to say that not only was 9 the highest, but half the scores, there was only 10 scores altogether, half the scores were 9. Okay, that's one comment. You can make other comments. You can say 9 was the most common score. You could say there were no 7s. You could say 6 was the lowest score, and 10 was the highest score. Okay, that's again is fairly open. It might not match what the answers say, but I'm happy with you just to have a go. Look at the data and have a bit of a go, and then I'll look at what you upload to Compass Learning Tasks. Now, I'd like you to have a go at 12B, which is, again, it's not in your textbook, it's on Compass Learning Tasks, and complete questions 1 to 4. Okay, they're all very similar sort of idea to the example that I've done. Thank you.